Okay, so what is up guys, welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is Kagan, and if you're a regular subscriber, welcome back. In today's video, I want to talk to you about the Godox ML60. That is this COB light that I'm holding in my hand. This is the tiniest COB light that I've ever seen, and potentially the smallest one that you've ever seen as well. So, speaking purely from a user experience standpoint, I'm going to be telling you all my thoughts about this device and pretty much my experience using it in the little time that I've had to spend with this device. The Godox ML60, let's talk about it. Before we jump into the unboxing experience, let's actually talk about where this light stands in the Godox video light lineup pretty much. Now, I've previously made a video about the Godox SL60, which is pretty much the entry-level light for anybody who is trying to buy lights from Godox right now. It's a fantastic light, honestly, and you know, for the price it actually does really well for around $135. Now this light is about $270. That is actively double of what the SL60 costs, and it's less than half the size, really tiny, a lot tinier than the Sokani S60. So how did they arrive at this price point, and what exactly does this light offer that the SL60 does not offer? Before I talk about all that, let's actually jump into the unboxing experience. This light comes in a brown box, and inside of that brown box you get a really nice carrying case, properly packaged. When you open this, you're going to get like a styrofoam material covering the top, and you're also going to get some paperwork, user manual, warranty card, stuff like that. And beyond that, you start to get the rest of the stuff in the box, like the light itself, which is this. You're going to get the reflector, you're going to get the handle, you're going to get the battery holder, you're going to get the long and the short cable for that battery holder. You're basically going to get the AC cable with the power brick and all of that, which is really long. This is the longest cable that I have seen in any light or pretty much any product that I've ever purchased, honestly. It's generously long. They did a fantastic job with this. Beyond that, you're going to get some belt clips that you're basically going to be using to hold like the battery holder and things, just so it does not, you know, fall off your stand or your handle or wherever you choose to mount this. And you're also going to get little things like extra straps for the carrying bag, like a long strap so that you can carry it on your shoulder, and a bunch of things that are mostly convenience based so that you can actually have a good experience with this light. Speaking of, the fact that this actually comes with a bag of this quality is an absolute win for me. The fact that this light is so small, and now because of the bag, it's so easy to pack it up and set it up and take it with you. Using this light becomes super easy, barely an inconvenience.
Oh no, super easy, barely an inconvenience. Great.
Mostly because of the bag that they added. This bag helps you so that you can actually very easily carry this along with you wherever you're going to shoot, and you can very easily break this down or set it up quickly depending on your use case. Now, speaking about the tech specs for this light has a CRI of 96, a TLCI of 97. You get 32 channels and 16 groups, and that is pretty much about the only time in this video that I'm going to talk about tech specs or read you numbers, because I do not believe numbers on paper actually translate to user experience, and you can probably vouch for this from so many other fancy products that you may have bought in the past that just simply did not hold up. But that's not the case for the Godox ML60. The Godox ML60 is fantastic. Let's speak purely from the battery life experience first when you're using the handle with the battery grip. Now, when I use two of this Sony MPF batteries, they last forever. I get around 2 hours 30 minutes runtime with two of this. Now, I have never actually used the light for 2 hours 30 minutes in a stretch, so I've never managed to actually kill it, but that's about what you get with this. But if you're using smaller batteries like this, you're probably going to be getting significantly less battery life anyway, so there's that to consider. And if I'm being totally honest though, personally, I have pretty much never used this light with the battery as my main source when I'm shooting. I pretty much prefer to run this from a wall DC adapter because it's just that much more convenient for the style of videos that I make. One of the things that you have to consider when you want to use this light is the fact that this light actually uses a Godox proprietary mount. It does not use Bowen's mount. That is probably the only slight little gripe that I have with this light, because I pretty much already have so many Bowen's mount stuff that I bought for other Godox lights that I use around the studio, like the SL60, the SL150, and the VL150. So getting a light like this puts me in a very tough position. But Godox does sell an adapter that you can use to convert this to like a proper Bowen's mount or full Bowen's mount, and you can just buy that and then you can adapt it to your other softboxes and stuff like that. Or alternatively, you can actually buy a completely different series or line of Godox products, modifiers, things like that, that are actually made specifically for this particular mount that's Godox proprietary. Now, I personally wouldn't go that route because I already have so many Bowens mount stuff. I can't just buy like a $25, $30 mount adapter thing that's basically going to turn this into a Bowens mount light, and that's not going to be a problem for me anymore. Another mildly important thing to consider is the fact that this light is really small. In fact, I cannot stress enough how small this light is. This is my hand and this is the Godox ML60. It is tiny. And for me, that is actually an advantage and a disadvantage at the same time, because while this light is really easy to pack, you know, very easy, barely an inconvenience to pack, break down, pack up and take wherever you want to go, it's also not going to be very strong to hold something like a 120 centimeter parabolic softbox, for example. You're probably going to be getting a lot of, you know, bending and flaking, and yeah, so it's a small light even though it's very well built. And speaking of the build quality, this light is entirely metal. It's really high quality and it feels really solid. Now, the size is a little bit of a worry for me, especially because this actually has a cooling fan inside of it. Now, without turning on the fan on this light, you only get to use it at 50% brightness, which is not terrible, but I probably advise you to use the fan anyway, because I think this might be the quietest Godox light that I've ever used. And I know that sounds weird because the SL150 Mark II already sounded so quiet for what it is, but this is slightly more quiet. I'm not sure if that's a consequence of the size or just better Godox engineering, but this is a lot quieter than the SL150 Mark II, and that's an absolute win for me in my honest opinion. Now, speaking of the physical bits aside the actual build quality of the light, on the back you basically get one power button, you get a DC in 16.8 volt, you get two yellow knobs, one to set and one to dim, and you get the display screen on the back. Now, the display screen is basically how you're going to change things like the group, the channel, and so on and so forth. And for the dim, you basically use that to change the numbers on the back as well. You're also going to get 8 different effects with this light, so things like the TV, the lightning, and so on and so forth. I am not going to bother with those because they're pretty much on almost every LED light these days, and you don't necessarily need to bother yourself too much about them. Now, one thing that I did notice with the handle that comes with this is the fact that it's such a snug fit, there is no give, and I think that is perfect because now it gives you this really secure tight fit, tight hold that's not going to give you any problems no matter how you decide to hold this light. And I should also point out that the tightening knob that's actually included in this light that lets you, move the head around with the rubber gasket and all of that is actually being changed by Godox. This was a pre-production unit and it came with the old one, but they've basically made a new one that's going to make it easier for you to tighten and release this light, and it's going to give you more control over this. And Godox has actually shipped me a replacement unit for this so that I can actually install it onto my light. And of course, this light was actually shipped out to me by Godox. A huge thanks to Godox for sending this out to me. But of course, that does not affect anything that I say in this video. I was not paid to tell you anything. This is my personal experience using this device that I'm sharing with you guys. One other very convenient thing that Godox actually included with this light was this little thing that basically moves out from the battery holder that lets you be able to actually stand this light without using a stand or a tripod or whatever. You can actually just stand the light with the batteries on it as it is, and you can just pick it up again and continue to use it. That is super convenient. Now, brightness wise, this light is exactly the same thing as the SL60 without the modifier. Basically, there's a tiny reflector in the box that you can use to basically amplify the light that this brings out, but of course it's a really small reflector compared to the one that comes with the SL60W, so the effect it's going to have is probably not going to be as intense as that one. But if you pretty much set the two lights beside each other and you remove both of these reflectors and you turn them on to 100% brightness, you get around the exact same brightness that you get from the SL60W from the ML60, which is actually insane when you consider the size of this. This is less than 1 out of 3 the size of the SL60. It's significantly quieter, but then again, it is more than twice the price. So by the time you factor in shipping and taxes and all that, the price of this is probably going to be coming to around $300 or just under $300 to purchase a unit. Is $300 a good price for this? Because I think by the time you had another $99, you can actually just get the VL150, which is significantly brighter and, significantly more, I don't know, professional. I think the question here is going to have to be, what do you actually plan to do with your light? What's your use case? Are you using your light for professional shoots, or is this something that you just need to use to raise the ambience, or something that you want to use for handheld shooting? Basically, a lighting setup that you can hook up to yourself with like the batteries and you can actually move around with conveniently with one hand and not have to feel any fatigue. That's what this light is. You cannot do that with the VL150 because it will just be too inconvenient. So if size matters to you, and size is very important to you, and you don't need more than a 60-watt COB light, this is probably the perfect light for you to buy, as long as you're buying it with the Bowens mount adapter that you're going to need to use to be able to use Bowens mount modifiers. Another thing that I should point out is I did get a remote with this light, but this light does not come with a remote stock. It's an additional purchase that you actually have to make if you want it. It's optional, and this remote pretty much is the exact same remote that comes with the SL150 Mark II. So if you already have that remote, all you're going to have to do is basically change channels and groups and stuff to be able to make this remote work with it, and you're totally fine. Another thing is, if you're using two of these lights like the SL150 Mark II as well as this ML60, you're going to be able to actually control them with the exact same remote if you put them on different channels or different groups or stuff like that, and it's going to be very, very convenient. So here's my verdict about this light, because I don't want this video to go on for too long. This light is perfect for anybody who needs a light setup that they can very, very quickly break down and set up and take around with them, especially because of the high quality carrying bag. It's really super convenient to carry with you, and it's one of, if not the tiniest COB light that you're going to find on the market right now. My only gripe with this light though is the fact that it's Godox proprietary mount as opposed to being a Bowens mount, but that could very easily be solved with a $25 adapter. So thank you so much for watching this video, and if you'd like to see more videos like this, you can check out my review of the SL150 Mark II as well as my video for the SL60W. Somewhere in the description I will have them linked, and I guess I will see you on another video that was shot by Kagan. Peace. The God of God.